Hello. Okay, I'm live on Facebook and YouTube now. Oh, sugar. So many wires here. Okay. Alrighty. Just waiting for people to turn up. Oops. Hello. I know I'm on at a really weird time. It's just the first chance I've had today. So, and I wasn't on all weekend. So here I am now. Okay, so we've got a few people coming in. Yeah, it's really late. I got a lot of people from back east who often turn up, so I think they'll probably all be in bed. When I say back east, I mean North America. Okay, because it would be like 10:30 now, Monday night. So anyway, okay, welcome. My name is Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. I know we've just got a few people in here. I'm not usually on at this time. It's a very, I'm going to turn the heat down. I'm really hot. Just a sec. Okay, so my name is Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. If you go on the link above, you can get my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course. I've still got those live group coaching sessions going on with the boot camp course, and they're every Saturday. Anyway, check that out. Or coaching. You could look into coaching. I am taking on new clients right now, so that's a good thing. Yeah, just depends on what's going on. Anyway, okay, what was I going to say? That's it. Just sit here and wait for your questions now. Sorry it's so late. It's just the first chance I've had today to do a live. So, what's your favorite way to add fun play into daily routines? Just watch how they play, and then always always use a timer. Always say, okay, so look, I've got 30 minutes to play with you kids. Set a timer so that they understand, so that they don't have a fit when you say, okay, gotta go. But the timer goes off, and you say, okay, that was fun. So yeah, and it just has to be in the moment too. Like don't worry about setting it up if you don't want to. It can just be something silly. You can pull over to the side of the road. If I drove past a new park with my kids, we'd just pull over and get out and go and play in the park for a while. So yeah, find your sense of fun with little kids. Let them teach you though. Oh, add fun into daily routines. Okay, yeah, you could just have races who can get dressed the fastest. My kids, oh God, I still remember this. I don't know why, but I always had to go to the bathroom. The second we get home after picking them up, I'm a mother, right? So I always have to go pee. So we had 2 bathrooms at the time when they were in the house in Australia where they were growing up, and we had an alarm. So whenever we'd come in the door, the joke was, Mom always has to pee the second we get home. So they were always trying to beat me to the bathrooms. Well, I had to disarm the alarm. So I'd try to hold them off and for them getting in the house. They'd be laughing and screaming and trying to do the alarm, and sure enough, they'd get both bathrooms, and all I'd hear was laughter coming out of the bathrooms, and I'd be having to go pee. So yeah, just everyday stuff. Just have fun with your kids. Find your inner kid. They probably didn't even have to go. They just enjoyed that Mom couldn't. Okay. Said you got a grandson who's 4 and won't go to the potty. Yeah, I do have a potty training course. It might actually work. At 4 years old, if they have no interest in going to the potty, it's actually a party. It's one of my mini courses above. It goes up to about 3, I think. But yeah, I'd give it a go at a 4-year-old who has no interest. It might work. Okay. How to guide toddler to not hit or bite pet dog. Oh boy, it hit me where it hurts. If you can't keep an animal safe, rehome it, at least temporarily. Yeah, there's no way I would allow that. You have to supervise constantly. Don't give the child access to the dog. You can't really teach a toddler not to hurt an animal. They not right away anyway. And I wouldn't want the animal to go through that. So just try and keep them separate and supervise constantly. And just say, obviously, no, and you take consistent corrective actions. It's not about words with toddlers. You just pull them away from the dog every single time, or you pick up the dog if you can. Yeah. Any advice for a 2-year-old being too loud in the car? Well, they're having fun, or, yeah, I don't know about that. I don't know what that means. Like, are they having fun? Yeah, I don't quite know what that means. So, yeah, sorry I'm on here so late. It's just the first chance I've had to get on here today. I just want to thank you for your support, by the way. I think 3 weeks ago, I hit 100,000 on here. I think it was 3 weeks ago. And now I'm up to 141,000 on Facebook. So I just want to thank you for your support on here. Means a lot to me. I don't understand social media, so I haven't got a clue what's going on. I know I get people asking me, how do you do that? How come your numbers are, because people who are also, want to get big numbers. I wouldn't have a clue. Not a clue what I'm doing on here. So yeah, I just want to thank you for the support. I really do appreciate it, because you're taking time out of your day, right? And I just really, because there's so much going on out there. So yeah, I love you so much. Thanks so much, Taylor. I appreciate your support. I really do. I'm not just saying that. It means a lot to me because I've been doing this forever. So I used to do a lot of mainstream media. What I mean by that is TV and radio back in the day, and you didn't get the feedback. It's not the same. So social media, you get the feedback, which is what's so great about it. I shared your page the other day. We appreciate the advice. Hey, you're very welcome. Thanks so much for that. I appreciate it. I actually just went on, I was never really on social media much, and I went on TikTok 2 years ago. And yeah, that's what started all this on social media. Emma Nanny, you keep me sane. Oh, excellent. A lot of things that I go through with clients is that they really think that they're alone, and they really think that their child is insane. And I just earlier, I was just going through a file because they were saying, oh, well, our kid is feisty, whatever. There wasn't one thing on the whole file that I wrote down thinking that child was feisty. It's just the parents weren't leaders, right? So now you're not alone, though. A lot of people think their kids are crazy. They also think they're crazy. So, parenting's messy. Life is messy. It's not about perfection here. Okay. Hi, New Zealand. We used to ski down there in Queenstown because we lived in Australia for 20 years, and we used to fly down to Queenstown and ski there. Gorgeous. Skiing's not the best, but I love the town there. It's just beautiful around the lake. People are so friendly too, Kiwis. Okay, my 8-year-old has quite a temper. We use tools such as counting, breathing, grounding techniques, but having them remember to use them in the midst of his anger. Yeah, if he's still having temper tantrums at 8 years old, you got to work on your leadership skills. When you're a leader, it tends to calm them down. Their emotions tend to regulate easier because they feel safe. They feel like they have a leader, basically. It just tends to calm them down. So work on your leadership skills. I'd check into the boot camp course if I were you. I've still got those group coaching sessions happening right now, just in the boot camp course. They ask the best questions. One of them, I think we just did week 2. She's in week 2, and she's already calling herself a leader. She's just getting it. And it was quite funny because everyone else in the group, they're all kind of like, oh, you're getting up. But some people just, they just sail, and other people struggle more. We're all different. We learn at different times. Also, I did point out she might just have an easier child, right? Like some kids are more feisty than others. So, but yeah, she's just killing it. She's got it. She understands it. And she was telling us everything she's doing, and she was so empowered. It was really cute. Okay. Oh, yeah. There's not much I can do. If an 8-year-old's having a tantrum, it is a tell. It says to me that you're not a leader. So work on your leadership skills. It just tends to calm them down. I don't do any of that breathing or anything. Yeah, I don't do any of that. Not to say it doesn't work, but it's not my style. So, I teach what I know, and I teach through experience with kids. I started volunteering with kids when I was 11, so that's 52 years ago. And so, yeah, I just do what I learned through kids. They taught me all this stuff. So, and I'm sure there's other methods out there that work too, but that's not one that I use. So, because I only teach through my own personal experience. And I would never use that. Yeah, I won't go on about it, but I just wouldn't. How do I help an almost 7-year-old daughter with her new meltdowns? Well, if she's just started having meltdowns, which is the same as tantrums, tantrums, scenes, fits, meltdowns, I kind of group them all in one. It means they lose control, generally over not getting their own way. If she just started having them at 7, I want to look into that. Like, why did she just start having them? Yeah, that's not normal, is what I'm saying, unless something's upset her. So it might not be anything huge, don't worry. But yeah, it's not normal that they start having tantrums at 7. So yeah, I don't know what's going on. I don't know. Oops, What I like to do is I scroll ahead because I worry that people come and go, and I don't want to answer a question if people have already left. So I'm just scrolling. Now I'm going back. So that's why I don't get to all the questions. My two older grandkids, 8 and 10, are always mean. 6 year. Oh, I don't give grandparenting advice. If I gave you advice, unless you had full custody, that's different. If I gave you advice on how to handle your grandkids and the parents didn't like it, see what I mean? I only teach parenting. I'm very careful with that. Any common areas you see parents missing in toddler proofing? Climbing stuff. It's probably the most difficult one to do because it's very hard to control a toddler who climbs. Yeah, I would say that's a difficult one. I would put bells on furniture. Like, let's say they use chairs, they pull chairs across a room to use to climb on. I would put bells on all the chairs. And I would even resort to putting bells on my kids if they were that difficult, like climbing, because that's dangerous, right? I had a client years ago and she couldn't find her 18-month-old, I think it was a little girl, 18-month-old little girl. She freaked out. The mom looked everywhere and all the doors were locked. She thought someone must have had a key, broke in, took the kid, locked behind them. Like, she was freaking out. She could not find this kid anywhere. She was in the kitchen. She was just going to call the police. And she heard giggling. She looked up. That 18-month-old had climbed onto the top of the fridge, had used some drawers, got little toes in the drawers, got up on top of the counter, up on top of the bread maker, and then the fridge. So imagine if that kid had fallen off. Anyway, so climbing is one of the most dangerous things that they're going to do around the house because everyone gets the electrical sockets covered and all that, but climbing is the hardest one. And I knew another family that they had a child who was really good at climbing walls. You know how they were older, like eight or something, and they would get their feet and their hands on either side of the hallway walls, and they'd climb up. In their hallway, they had like 18-foot ceiling, and this kid would get up to 18 feet and then have a hard time coming back down. So yeah, 18 feet. Climbers are scary. I can't even fathom how you do that. How on earth would you climb like that? Anyway. Advice for 12-year-old attitude. How do I handle rude comments? Could be about anything, just has something rude to say after anyone else says anything. Okay, that's just attitude. You never address attitude, by the way, but there's something behind that. That means they don't respect you. Check out my boot camp course. It goes to 12. It really could go to 14, but some 14-year-olds are too mature for that. But it can go up to 14. But yeah, 12-year-olds, is not too old for that course. So check that out, the boot camp course. Teach you how to get respect, and then the attitude takes care of itself. You never address attitude because there's no point. I've been using your methods without actually making a behavior board and seeing big improvements. Excellent. I never used a behavior board. It's a teaching tool. It teaches you how to set rules and consequences and how to follow through. And there's only one board per week, and then you only go to 3. And then after that, you do in the moment. Yeah, it's just... a lot of it's body language, tone of voice. Just getting control of yourself, getting control of your own emotions. That's the hardest part. One of my least favorite questions is, how do I control my own emotions? I can't help you with that. I can't help you control your emotions with your kids, but knowing that this stuff will work down the road can sometimes help. Once you start seeing results, it gets easy. Getting results is the hard part. When you first start doing this, it's usually going to get worse before it gets better because the kids are like, oh, really? You think you're going to be a leader? I think not. So they will usually get worse before they get better. Not always, but usually, especially as when they're older. Yes, they usually get worse. Is talking back and arguing in the attitude department? Yes. And why are you arguing with a kid? Yeah. Why are you arguing? Yeah, it's in the attitude department. If they're trying to argue with you and talking back, that means they don't respect you. That's all attitude. They don't disrespect a leader. They would be embarrassed to do so. My son was 15 and he says, I could never rebel because you're too reasonable and easy to talk to. So yeah, sorry about that. Look, oh, sorry about that. But yeah, work on your leadership skills, and they don't rebel. They don't talk back. It's because you can talk things through with them, right? That's what a leader does. They get good at listening. Okay. I'm going to read out. I get a lot of questions about discipline, and that's really not what I'm all about. I'm all about connecting with kids. Discipline's a tiny part of all this. And once you're a leader, you never have to discipline anyway, right? It's just everyone's struggling, so they want to know how to discipline. We're never fixing kids. We're teaching parents here. I'm setting you up as a leader. These are my top 3 leadership qualities as a parent. Number 1, they're really simple, but there's a lot to them. Number 1 is be calm during the storms. Number 2 is be crazy during the rainbows. And number 3 is be a great listener. Okay, number one, they calm during the storms means when they're having a tantrum, a fit, or whatever, you stay completely calm. All discipline, all that kind of stuff. When they're heightened emotions, you stay calm. It's like a business transaction. Emotions do not belong in when everything's crazy. Number two is being crazy during the rainbows. That means when you're all having fun together, you can be crazy and wild and loud and laughing and all that stuff. You can be crazy then. And then the last one is be a great listener. A listener does not gather information to lecture with. A listener just listens to show understanding and empathy, not to lecture with. And that's what a lot of parents make the mistake. Kids will open up to them and they go, okay, here's what you should do. And they dive in, right? And they can't figure out why their kids don't talk to them. Yeah, you just listen to understand. And that starts at a very young age, actually. That's one of my top tips for parenting teenagers. But it starts at a very young age. Like I remember being really little. And I would say to my mom, Mommy, this is going on at school or whatever, preschool, what should I do? And she always said the same thing. Well, I don't know. You're a smart girl. You can figure it out. And then we'd talk it through. But I always thought I was solving all my own problems. But really, she was guiding me along. But she was such a good listener. I thought I was solving all my own problems. And I told her everything. Yeah, when you become a good listener, they'll tell you everything right through the teen years, even stuff you don't want to know about. Yeah. 3-year-old wakes up from his midday nap in a terrible mood. Yeah, lots of adults do that. Lots of adults are miserable when they first wake up. I don't know about this, but I heard it has something to do with body temperature. I don't know if that's true or not, but my son was like that. He would wake up sometimes just a bear. And then I just let him sit in front of the TV or give him an apple or something, and he could do a puzzle or whatever. I just give him like 20 minutes or something. I wouldn't try and talk to him or anything. Oh, I'm going to move over to Instagram now because I haven't got a lot of time tonight. It's very late tonight. I'm going to move over to Instagram now. So if you want to join me over there, it's Bratbusters Parenting, and I'm on YouTube the whole time that I'm doing my lives. That's where all my lives are saved. So check out the link above. It's you can check out my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course. Yes, I still have those group coachings going on Saturdays. They're going really well, and they will be embedded in the course. They're just an added on extra, just temporarily. I'm just doing this once through. And then also you can check out coaching. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me. Happy parenting. And there we go. Okay, I got a couple people on YouTube. YouTube's my smallest following. TikTok's my big one, then Instagram, then Facebook, then YouTube. But all my lives are saved on YouTube. Okay, so now I'm on Instagram. I wait till I get about 100 people here first. And there we go, 121. Okay, so you can start asking your questions. My name's Lisa, if you're new here. What can I do with a bossy toddler? They only are bossy if they think they can win. They don't tend to be bossy if they can't boss anyone around. It's just something they try and give up really quickly. So yeah, it says to me that they win, that they are winning. So yeah, if they're bossy, just make sure they don't win. I want that, I want that. Say, no, you're having this. So yeah, don't give into it. It's a learned behavior. Some of them are just born bossier, but if they keep it up and they're really demanding with it, that's a learned behavior after a while. What do you say when you have given the consequence of no iPad and they ask for the iPad? You just say, what? No iPad. Like, I don't know what you mean. I don't know what you mean. You just say, it's gone. I don't answer those questions. How old are they, by the way? I'm going to look for your answer. How old are they? So you've taken away that. I'm going to explain this to people. For someone who's new here, what's happened here, I'm assuming you went to the behavior board and used that. So when you use my behavior board, that's completely free above. And there's a rule and a consequence for everybody. The parents are on there too. And the kids have 2 consequences. The first one, if they break a rule, there's 2 consequences. The first one is a positive action. If they won't do that, then you do a negative deprivation, like you take the iPad away. It's usually 24-hour immediate blackout. So I'm assuming that's what you're talking about. So what you're asking me is if you've taken away the iPad and then they ask for it, you just say, no. And if you keep asking, I'm not answering. Like, why? I don't understand that. What do you do if they ask for it? Well, I don't know. Like, what I mean is, why would you answer that? But how old are they? Like, are they 1 year old or something that they don't understand that it's gone? And you don't need to answer that. 4 years old with autism. Okay, that's more of a specialty. There could be other stuff going on there, so that would be in coaching only. How high functioning are they? Like, do they understand that you've taken that iPad away? I don't justify myself. I don't explain myself. It's already done. If your child is struggling to understand that, then that would be coaching. We'd have to work on other stuff. But yeah, if they say, I want it back, well, it's taken away. I don't answer that. Yeah. I might just point to the behavior board and go, well, it's gone for 24 hours. Yeah. Okay. A 3-year-old boy shuts down and says he doesn't want to talk about it. Doesn't want to talk about what? I don't know what you mean. Sorry, I have to scroll ahead. There's too many questions came in. I got lost here. Okay, 6-year-old says no to everything. Time to brush teeth, time for dinner, then also physically resists. Do you have a behavior board going? Check that out. Also, you might want to check out the boot camp course. That's all about your leadership skills. It's not about the kids. So you have rules and consequences. Kids don't learn just by being told something. Hey, brush your teeth. Don't wanna. But if you put it on the behavior board, if you don't brush your teeth, there's a consequence, right? We all learn through consequences. We all learn to be responsible by consequences. Think about it. That's why we pay rent. What if we never had to pay rent? There's no consequence. Oh, what happens if I don't pay my rent? Nothing. You just get to live there forever for free. We all learn life is consequences. Life is, if you don't follow the rules, there's a consequence. So the sooner you teach your kids, the better. A lot of parents just expect to say, brush your teeth, do that, and the kids, and they don't do it, and you can't figure out why not. Well, where's the consequence if they don't? What's making them accountable? Yeah, it's like you go to work and you're there because you know if you're not going to get a paycheck, right? Right? If you knew you'd get a paycheck even if you didn't turn up to work, I'm not saying you would, but you know what I mean? You might not turn up. You might not be there as much. So life's full of consequences. Teach your child to be accountable for their actions. So yeah, put that on the behavior board. Brush your teeth within 10 minutes of being asked to do so. Or follow dinner. You might want to check out the boot camp course. Check it out. It's a whole bunch of stuff in there. That's up above in the link. If they keep throwing a fit, do you extend the 24 hours? Like, no. The 24-hour media blackout, once you've done that, the only time I will ever double it is it's maybe once a year I'll do that with a client. It's that rare. Because if you double it, then you got 2 days of no leverage whatsoever. And I just think that's too much anyway. If you want me to tell you how I do it, why I do it, the odd time, maybe once or twice a year I'll do it. If you want me to go into that, I will, but it's very rare. And I don't want you using it really. But yeah, you only go 24 hours. If they're rotten, you just say, that's why you got 24-hour media blackout. You see? Like, that's why you got it. That's all you can say because they're already in the punishment mode. You can't punish on top of punishment. If you want me to explain the odd time why I do and how it works, it's a bit of a story, but I will. But it's very rare. I never like to double it because then you got 2 whole days of nothing. You got no leverage. 48 hours of no leverage whatsoever. And you only do it with like 9 years old and over, and it's very rare. It's a very specific reason. Okay. What if there's too many behaviors to be included? Very good question. What this person's asking is, let's say that I call them battles. Let's say you got 50 battles with your kids, like 50 things that they're doing wrong that you want to correct. And I'm just saying you just put one battle on that behavior board, one rule per week, and then you've only got 3 of them. What happens is once you start setting up your leadership skills, all the other bad behaviors start to go away. They just do. They start to respect you and they drop all those other bad behaviors. That's how this works. Also, if you've got one rule on the behavior board the first week, a lot of parents, lately, I don't know why, just lately they've been using those consequences for everything else they're doing wrong. No, it just waters it down and it doesn't work. You just focus on that one rule and the consequences for that one rule. And then the next week you've got 2 behavior boards. That's 2 rules. Then week 3, you got 3 rules. Just keep it simple. Because what happens is if you're going to address everything, I'd address everything in day 1. But I'm level 10 with what I teach. You're just learning how to do this. The behavior boards are just a teaching tool. Like I would never use a behavior board. I never did. It's a teaching tool. It teaches you how to just focus on one rule at a time. As I said, when you start getting good at this and your leadership skills increase, all the other bad behaviors start to drop away. It's different with each family. It's mostly dependent upon your calmness and your consistency. A lot of parents still get angry, and the kids pick up on that energy, and they're less likely to follow along. Do you ever have more than 3 behavior boards? No, but I had a client that had 13 once. I quit working with them, and then a year later, they hired me again, and they had to fess up. They said, "We had 13 behavior boards." And you couldn't figure out why that didn't work? Yeah, you never go past 3, never. But you do address all the other behaviors in week 4. Check out the boot camp course, it explains it. The behavior board, that's completely free, but it only works for the first 3 weeks. After that, you've got to go off the behavior boards. It's just a teaching tool. One of the reasons I would never use a behavior board is I don't want the kids looking at anything but me when I'm disciplining, because I just want, here's what we're going to do. That's how I say it. I don't want to have to go to a board, but a board is fantastic when you're learning how to do this because it kind of diffuses it. You got the board to blame. And then also when people hire me, I always say, we paid a lot of money for this coaching. It's going to happen. When you got older kids, like give it more weight. We paid money for it. This woman's a parent. She's teaching us how to be better parents. It's happening, right? You got to give it a lot of weight, give it a lot of power. It helps you. It's a support tool for you, really, when you're just starting out with this. Yeah. And the kids always say, when they say, we paid a lot of money for this, and they say, how much? The behavior board's free, but when you hire me, that's not. So the kids always want to know how much money. Money talks with, especially teenagers, because they think if you've paid that money for coaching, this is going to happen. So it gives it more weight. Is there a best behavior to start with? If you look on the behavior board, the example is no hitting. If they do hit, that's always the first one. Another good one is no bad words. If they swear, you put down no bad words. Those are 2 kind of big ones that you want to attach. Some really popular ones are follow chore chart, follow bedtime routine, follow mealtime routine. And then underneath you do a routine. You write it all out. Those are really common ones. Another super common one is put your coat and your shoes where they belong within 5 minutes of getting home. So as soon as they get in the door, basically they have to put all their shoes away, their coat, hang up their coats, and then empty their school bag or whatever. So that's a really common one. Another common one is just follow chore chart, and they're making their bed. They might be cleaning up their toys when asked to do so. But yeah, I would say bedtime battles, mealtime routine, or bedtime routine, mealtime routine, school morning routine. 3 really popular ones, because those are 3 things that are routines almost every day, especially school morning routine, not so much, but bedtime and mealtime, that's every single day, right? So yeah, they're really common ones. Would you say a parent's anger causes some bad behaviors? 100%. Yeah, they're feeding off your energy. If you get angry, they're more likely to get angry. Like I was never yelled at. I never yelled at my kids because they're watching you, right? If you have a temper, they're more likely to get angry. Yeah, anger definitely. It's contagious. Well, I don't know. I never understand this question. 2-year-old saying mine to everything. So is that a question? Yeah, they will do that. Just like if you're say, can I please have that? And they say mine, I would just take it anyway. Like, I take action. So yeah, if you need to take something off a toddler, say, may I please have that? And they go mine, I would just take it. Like, yeah, they're trying to be the leader. Don't let that happen. Sorry, I'm just scrolling ahead because I always worry about people coming and going, so I want to get the most recent questions. What about bad words? Yeah, that's one you can put on the behavior board. If they're 3, the behavior board starts at the age of 3, and you can put no bad words on there. And make sure you don't use them. Like you said, you don't. But some people swear and they tell their kids it's okay that we do it because we're adults. That's not fair. How do you discipline when you're not at home? There's no behavior board. You address it. You say, I'll tell you what, I didn't like that, or you shouldn't have done that, or whatever. And you defer it. Say, we'll discuss it when we get home. Okay? So it's called deferred punishment. So you say, yep, there you go. You broke a rule. We'll discuss it when we get home. And then forget about it. But I didn't mind. I said, we'll discuss it when we get home. You see, if they keep at you, they're mad because they know there's going to be a consequence. I would say, if they're older, I would say this, 5, 6, 7, 8 years old. I would say, I'll tell you what, if you keep coming at me, I'll make it harder when we get home. The consequence will be worse. Do you understand? It's your choice. So yeah, and then just make it harder. Just follow through. It's hard to do, but it's a very simple thing. Think about it. You're just teaching your children to be accountable for what they say, do, and how they act, how they treat people. You're just making them accountable. So just follow through and make it happen. Um, yeah, parents, we all do this though. We all fall back into bad habits. But yeah, most parents over discuss things or end up explaining themselves. Well, not fair, not fair. And well, yes, it is, because remember we discussed that if a kid went on about not fair with me, I'd go, whatever, and just walk away. Like, I've already laid down the law. I've already got the behavior board. They already understand it. But then they'll fight it because they don't want to do the consequence. Not fair. I hate you. You hate me. I'm blah, 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 blah. Whatever. Like, and I'm off. Would not bother me at all. If you get dragged into that manipulation, they're in charge. Guaranteed. They're in charge. Running down the street at 3, what's the consequence? Well, there is no consequence for that. There's control. So what I would do is, if you've got a runner, there are 4 different things that children are born they're either going to do or they're never going to do them. One is running, one is climbing. They often go together, by the way, because they're those kids who have no fear and they don't look behind when they're running, right? So running, climbing. The other one is hitting. Some kids will hit, some will never hit. The other one is tantrums. They're either born to do those 4 things, or one of them, or 2 of them, or 3 of them. They're either born to do them or they'll never do them. With a runner, if I had a runner, this is a life and death safety thing. I would put a harness on them or some kind of a strap on them before we went out. And I'd say, if you take off on me, I'm going to put you on this leash. And I would clip them in like that as soon as they started running and keep them clipped in for the rest of that outing. So I would suggest, if you know they're runners and they're always doing it, I would do some trial, I was going to say trial runs, but go out places where it doesn't really matter. So, because they're probably going to have a tantrum when they're all strapped into this thing. It's a safety thing. It's better to put your kid on a leash than have them flattened by a bus. I mean, you buckle them into car seats, so there's nothing wrong with buckling them into a leash just to keep them safe. They'll eventually learn. What are some consequences for a 7-year-old who keeps getting in trouble at school? Well, I can't answer that. I don't know what kind of trouble they're getting into. And what are they like at home? You got to fix the home front before you can fix anything else. So if you're not a leader at home, there's nothing you can do about what's going on at school. So I would check out the boot camp course. If they're 7 and they're getting in trouble at school, that's kind of next level. I'd check out the boot camp course. That's in the link above. What to do when a 3-year-old constantly repeating, I'm hungry, my tummy hurts, I want a snack, repeating whenever we hang out with friends. She's shy, but she says those things constantly. My tummy hurts. If she's shy, why is she saying that when you're out? That doesn't add up to me. That doesn't make sense. She's shy, but she says those things. That's not shyness, though. A shy kid wouldn't say anything. So anyway, I would just say, you're fine. That's it. And yeah, if you know that they've been fed, yeah, it's kind of manipulate. I don't understand. Has she not been fed? Has she been fed? If she's been fed, I would just say, you're fine, and then that's it. I would ignore it after that. I can't wait to talk about something that came up with a client over the weekend. I'm waiting for their permission. I'm gonna meet with them soon, so I'm gonna ask their permission. Oh God, I can't wait to talk about it. It's really cute. So yeah, it was just, they sent me an email about something, and I can't wait to discuss this one. Anyway, I was gonna do it, and I thought, well, I haven't got their permission yet, because I want to name it after that client. Anyway, I mean, I've been doing this forever, but there's still things. Clients are really creative. They come up with stuff, and I go, wow, that was really good. I really like that one. So it's one of those. Oh, sorry, I'm gonna have to go. It's getting late. I've still got a lot of work to do. So I know I'm late tonight with this. It's just the first opportunity I've had to do a live. So, and I can feel my eyes getting heavy. I'm so tired tonight. Anyway, I got to get going. I'm going to be going over to TikTok now. And if you want to join me over there, it's Bratbusters Parenting. And and then also I'm on YouTube the whole time. Whenever I'm doing my lives, I'm saving them all on YouTube, which is where they're saved. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me. Check out the link above. You can get my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course. I still have those weekly group coaching calls going on the boot camp course, or you can look into coaching. It's all in the link above. Happy parenting. Whoops. I'm on the wrong channel here. TikTok starts ads as soon as you turn it on now. It's so frustrating. You didn't used to do that. Come on. There we go. Took a while. Okay. Just waiting for people to turn up. It's slower on here. Instagram, they turn up real fast. Everyone turns up all at once. Okay, this is Rachel on YouTube. I have an 18-month-old. Is it a good time to start toilet training? That would be early, but if they're really ready, you could try it. The problem is if you try too early, they often have a lot more accidents. I didn't want to go through that, so I waited until both my kids were 2.5. I trained my son in 1 day, my daughter in 2 days, with no pull-ups, no night diapers or nothing. But yeah, I think 18 months is a little bit young, but some of them are trained at that age. You can check out my course if you want, the potty training course. It's called a potty party. You literally have a little party, just you and your kid. But I think it's a bit young. 2.5 is a good age. I could have trained my daughter at 2, but I didn't want all the extra accidents. I wanted to make sure when I could train them, I wanted it done 100%, and that's what I did. Okay, so thanks so much for joining me. You might have come over from my other channels, from Instagram or Facebook, and I'm on YouTube the whole time, every time I'm doing a live. I'm just really tired. I'm not usually on. Did I do that freaking cowboy hat? Why did I do that? Only I can do that, evidently, but I don't know what I did. Anyway, what was I going to say? I can't remember. Anyway, I'm just here answering questions. If you're new here, my name's Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. You can check out the link above. It's a gift. Oh, is it? Oh, okay. Thanks. Oh, is that what that is? Because I had one where I had some silly glasses on, and someone said you did that, so I had whatever. Okay, I don't know what I'm doing on here half the time. Anyway, if you're new here, my name's Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. If you go on the link above, you can get my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course. I've still got those live group coaching sessions every Saturday afternoon with that course. That's just temporary. And then, coaching. Anyway, you can look into all that. I can't always take everyone on with coaching these days, but right now I've got a couple of openings. So if you're interested, and also I'm picky with ages. I like to mix it up. I've got a ton of teenagers right now I'm working with. So not as many younger children. But I usually take most teenage stuff on because that's more serious stuff, right? And that's my specialty. Not many people specialize in teenagers. So if I do ever retire from coaching, I'll probably still do teen crisis work. That's my favorite age. Okay, so let's get going with your parenting questions. How to deal with talk back from a 4-year-old. That's a tell. It means that they don't respect you. Work on your leadership skills. Remember, we're never fixing kids here. We're teaching parents. When you're a leader, they don't sass you. They don't talk back to a leader. They would be embarrassed to do so because they look up to you. You make them feel good about themselves. So why would they talk back to someone who did that for them? Our goal here with leadership parenting is to bring out the best in kids, to make them like themselves when they're with you, therefore they want to please you. From 3 to 12 years old, you're at the height of your leadership skills. Under that, they're just nuts, and over that, it's a little bit different with teenagers. You want them to be more their own leaders, and you're there for the big stuff, for the backup, right? And they'll tell you everything when you're good at this stuff. Check out the boot camp course if you want to know how to be a leader in 5 weeks. I'm still doing those group coaching sessions every Saturday with that course. And that's just temporary. It's just kind of one-off. I got glasses. Okay, thank you. Yeah, I look real neat with pink glasses on. Saw my granddaughter yesterday. She's 3 months old now, cute as a button. Gee, they grow so fast. Every time I see her now, it's a 40-minute drive, so I don't see her as much as I'd like to. But yeah, she's cute as a button. I love being a grandma. I don't quite know if this is a question. I'll read it out because not many people ask about babies on here. First thing to do once you have a baby, when they start to become aware of themselves and their environment. I don't know. You know what, though? This is what I say about babies. Babies are like 15 months and under to me. Meet their needs and meet their wants. I kind of give in to everything unless they're doing something naughty, then I might correct them and divert their attention away from it. But yeah, meet their needs and meet their wants. I just pick my kids up. I never let them cry when they were little, unless I had to have a shower or something. But you know what I mean? Like you just sort of just go with it. Just enjoy, just go with it. I was out and about a lot with my kids. They love the stroller. They love going out. So yeah, I was out with them a lot. A lot of play groups. Did a lot of that. Um, yeah, it was hard going to people's places once they got on their feet. It was fine when they were all babies. We'd just all lay out a big blanket and it was easy, and all us mums would just sit around and chat. But once they got on their feet, there wasn't as much socializing because we're all just chasing our kids around. So the play groups tend to disperse more when that happens. But yeah, it was great. I'll tell you a funny story. I'm Canadian and I'm married in Australia and I moved down under and I was there for about 20 years. That's where my kids are born and raised. And I one day I was in this play group. It's actually a funny story. I was in this play group, this mom's group, right? So it was us and all our babies. There was about 6 or 8 of us. It was a pretty big group. So it was my turn to host it. And I was one of the first ones. And I think it was like the second one we had, whatever. So all these moms turn up at 10 o'clock in the morning with champagne, like alcohol. And we're all breastfeeding moms. And all these moms all turn up with all this champagne and stuff. What the heck's going on? If you're an Australian, you know what I'm talking about. It was Melbourne Cup Day or Melbourne Cup Day. And I'd never heard of it. It's a horse race, very famous. And basically all of Australia shuts down. And they have a pool. Everyone puts in a name of the horse and they win something. So we would just win the champagne that they brought. We weren't drinking it at 10 o'clock in the morning. But imagine that here. I was brand new in Australia and I'm thinking mums groups, they're all alcoholics at 10 o'clock in the morning. There was a lot of things adjusting to a new country. It's the same language. A lot of things are different, but yeah, it was they were all laughing at me when I was so confused. How come you're bringing alcohol to a mums group? Yeah. Are you in Canada? Yeah, I'm in Vancouver. What's going on here? I'm a parenting coach. Some people think I'm a psychic. Someone came on here. Am I going to meet the man of my dreams? I said, I hope so. They thought I was a psychic. So, um, okay. My husband and I have different parenting methods. How do we agree on one another? Okay, you just have to pick one. You just have to flip a coin and you say, we're going to go with Lisa, or we're going to go with Dawn, or whoever, and say we're going to, whoever wins the coin toss, just go with it and say, I'll give you 3 weeks and see if you notice any differences. If not, then you give the other person the go. That's what I would suggest. And I'm often, when I'm hired, it's usually the mom who wants to hire me, right? Dads are fixers. If they can't fix their family, they don't want to bring a stranger in to do it. I get that. I raised a man. Plus, I mean, when you raise a boy, you kind of understand men more. But also, I know men are fixers. And then once they sort of get in on the session, it gets easier for them. But often the mom at the first session, this is the mom, and this is the dad. I get that a lot. But then they usually lean in and they get it. But anyway, so it's quite cute. And then we just work on, I pick a leader. What I'll do is if they don't agree on it, I'll say, well, let's just pick a leader. And the other one has to defer to the leader. I don't always pick the one that wants to be the leader either. Like it just depends on which one I think I can work with the best. Oh, good for you. I just came across your bedtime battles videos on the weekend. Thank you. Night 3 and my 4-year-old went to bed peacefully. Um, I don't know if you bought the course or not, but I do have a bedtime battles course. Bedtime is usually a battle, but it's often just one night, real hell. And it's 2-part, that course. It's how to get them in bed and then how to keep them there. That's the hard part. Getting them in bed is easy compared to keeping them there, because getting them in bed just takes an hour, right? But then after that, keeping them there is a nightmare. Um, and that's 2 to 8 years old. Sorry, I just got a message. I just have to check it. I've got a lot of teenagers right now as clients, and well, their parents. How to stop a 3-year-old from talking back? You don't. You mean how to fix your kid? We're not fixing kids here. We're teaching parents. Set yourself up as a leader, and they won't talk back. They don't talk back to leaders. Because they respect leaders. Have you ever had a teacher or a coach or someone that you really look up to? Would you ever talk back to that person? No. So work on your leadership skills. Remember, we're not fixing kids. They are a product of your parenting. That's all it is. So it just means you're not a leader, which is good news. You can only change yourself anyway. Oh, thank you for your help. My son is 3 and coming out of tantrums and into a lovely boy because of you. No, not because of me. I may have given you some advice. You've done the work. Good for you. Pat yourself on the back. Good for you. It's always nice to hear. That's why I love my job. I mean, I hear stuff like that every single day. I just love that. I love what I do. How nice. I've been doing it forever. And yeah, I just love it. Imagine having a job helping people. Doesn't get any better than that. It's just such a feel good job. It's wonderful. Don't get me wrong. It's got its tough. I specialize in teen crisis work. That is difficult. That is hard. But, thank you. It was really hard. Yeah, but you did it. Isn't it worth it? Short-term pain for long-term gain, right? Everyone wants the rainbow, but I say, are you ready to go through the storm? It usually gets worse before it gets better because they remember the old you. They're going to try and get back that one that talked to them and gave in to them. But yeah, my 3-year-old has me puzzled all the time. You are my super nanny. 3-year-old has you puzzled all the time. They're quite simple at 3. Wait till they're 13. Geez. Wait till they're like a 16-year-old girl. You're very complex. Just found you, and I'm glad I did. As a pediatrician, I appreciate the work you do. I'm Canadian too. Oh, nice. A huge portion of my clients are, I've got some pediatricians as clients, or I've had over the years. A huge portion of my clients are teachers, principals, daycare workers, and child psychologists. I couldn't do any of their jobs, but they recognize that parenting is different. It's personal. Those are businesses, they're institutions. It's just different, right? And parenting is different. It's just a very different role because it's personal. There's nothing more personal than parenting because whatever your kids are doing right or wrong, you're going to take credit or blame for it, right? And I always tell you, you take all the blame. If your kids are acting out, take all the blame because when you figure this out and they're acting out, then they're great. Then you can also take the credit. So yeah, their behavior between the ages of 3 and 12 years old is 100% a direct result of your parenting. You lead, they will follow. That's when you're at the height of your leadership skills. 3 to 12. Under 3, they're crazy anyway. Toddlers are just nuts. They're just forming, right? And then over that, you want them to be more their own leaders. Okay, they might go a little bit askew at times because they're just learning and they're just trying things out. You just don't want them to go too off the rails, and they won't if you're a leader. Because when you're a leader, they're going to tell you everything. I told my mother everything. My kids told me everything. You want to be a safe place to land, right? And if they're going to talk to their mother about everything, you think they're going to go off the rails? Yeah, just doesn't happen. How to talk to a 3-year-old son about an infant sister that passed away. Well, I'm really sorry for your loss. That's very tragic. Just say it like it is. She's no longer here. She's gone. But and then if you're religious, you'll have your own way of wording all that stuff. But just say you would have been a wonderful big brother, and but you'll always be a big brother. She'll always be part of our family. She's just not with us anymore. And then throughout the years, it's going to be confusing. Like right now, he's really little, but throughout the years, it's going to be confusing if you don't keep bringing it up. I would keep bringing it up, have pictures and all that, make her part of their family forever. Yeah, I would. Secrets imply shame. A lot of parents try and protect their kids from things, and secrets imply shame. There's no shame in any of this. And don't try not to be uncomfortable talking about it with him, and make it all positive if possible. He asks questions that are negative. Yeah, just say, yeah, it's really sad. Don't say it isn't because it is. So yeah, secrets imply shame. Um, Age appropriate stuff though, right? I remember my first loss. I was, I think, 8, and my granny died. I grew up, she would live next door, so I was very close to her. And then she'd moved back east to be with a daughter before she died. And I flew out a couple times to see her. But that was my very first loss. I think I was 8. It's it's so you just can't quite grasp it. Like it was just so intense. And I remember they had an open casket, and I chose to look. And I remember they called it rouge back then. They put like blush on her. I'd never seen my granny wear makeup in ever. So I remember thinking, isn't that weird? Like she had blush on her. It's very confusing for kids. It's so final. They just can't grasp that, right? Yeah. Oh, good for you. It's from Joanne. My 3 adult children turned out perfectly. I'm taking all the credit. Good for you. You go. You take it. I remember people used to say to me, they'd say, "Oh, you're so lucky you got such easy kids." And I'm like, "No, I put in the work. I put in the work. Like, don't take that away from me. I put in the work." Not to say that they weren't great kids anyway, but all that good behavior, that was a lot of that was just me, right? Or I took the credit anyway. How to be more of a safe place to land. Okay, you don't yell. Yelling scares the bejeebies out of kids. Even if they don't seem to react, it just does something to them. So don't yell. Get organized. Be predictable. And become a really good listener. You listen to understand, show empathy. You don't listen to gather information to lecture with. That is one of my top 3 tips for parenting teenagers. I'm going to read that out. Where is it? Where is it? There we go. My top 3 tips for parenting teenagers. Number 1 is you listen to understand and show empathy. You don't listen to gather information to lecture with. If they want your advice, they're going to ask for it. They already know it anyway, okay? When you get really good at what I call silent listening, using these instead of that, they're going to tell you everything. They just can't help themselves. Number 2 is with teenagers, you negotiate pretty much everything. It goes something like this. Hey, I want your dirty clothes in the hamper from now on. What do you want from me? It's not a blanket statement. You don't do it with everything, but you do it with a lot. Do it with as much as you can. They're going to respect you more for that because you're showing them respect. Remember, you got to give respect to get it. And number 3 with teenagers, don't sweat the small stuff. Save your energy for the big stuff if you even need it. If you're going to try and micromanage a teenager, good luck with that. It's just not appropriate. They're going to mess up just like you did. When they make a mistake and it's not a big deal, just say, well, that was stupid. Do you want to hear what I did when I was your age? And laugh it off. It's okay to be human. It's okay to make mistakes. They're learning. They're growing. Okay. Um, that's interesting. You asked about to be a safe place to land. I I told this story to a client today, and I haven't told it in a while. Anyway, this is a lot of stories are longer, so I only tell them in coaching, and I just tell it to who it pertains to. But anyway, this was interesting. I used to volunteer a lot in school, in classes. And I was in this grade 2 class. I think it was grade 2. Anyway, and a whole bunch of other moms had come in. They weren't regulars there, but also we broke up into groups. And it was like this activity day. So the moms were asked to come in and help with this activity day. So all the groups were all chaotic and the moms were having a hard time controlling them. Whereas mine was all polite and they were all just listening to me and it was all going great. And the moms couldn't figure it out. Like, why were my kids so good? Well, I'm a leader, right? I'm just a leader. But anyway, and the teacher was, I don't even know, it might have been a substitute. It was a younger teacher. The kids didn't feel that comfortable with the teacher. Anyway, this was so funny. I didn't expect this. The fire alarm was not planned. It was not scheduled. Some kid had pulled it and it scared the kids. They didn't run to the teacher or their moms. They all ran to me. Now, why would they do that? I'm the tough one. I make them sit and do it. I'm tough, but I'm also fun. But why would they run to me? Because I'm a leader. Children feel safe with a leader. A leader looks like they know what they're doing. They have guidelines for kids. They know how to impose consequences, right? They know how to guide kids into making good choices. But basically, a leader makes them feel safe, right? They felt comfort and safe. Yeah. And their moms were not impressed. That was funny. Okay. But remember, I mean, I've been doing this forever. I started volunteering with kids. I was 11 years old and I started going in daycare centers as a volunteer. Who does that? What 11-year-old does that? And even then, the daycare ladies were asking me, how do you do that? The kids like you, but they listen to you. So I think I kind of always was meant to kind of do this. But also, I spent decades volunteering with kids in hospitals, schools, homes. I got all sorts of training for certain things, but I didn't use any of it. I used my own instincts. I was always trying to figure kids out because I figured if you can figure kids out, you can figure yourself out, because we were all kids once, how we formed. I can literally look at a little kid, like a 7-year-old or a 3-year-old. I can remember what it felt like to be that age because I've worked with so many hundreds of kids over the decades, right? So I just find kids fascinating. That's how we all started. That's how we all grew. That's how we all became who we are, is in childhood. And when you get out in the world, other things are going to influence you, of course. So yeah, things can influence you. But basically, your basic who you are is formed in the first, I think, 7 years. And children don't learn through listening or lecturing or like you telling them stuff. They learn through observation. I've always said that, but now the scientists are agreeing with that too, that they learn through watching you. It's all watching. So they're not listening. They listen, but not so much. It's more watching. The first 7 years is when they are forming their personalities, and it's all done through observation. It's interesting, eh? I haven't been on your lives for a while. Your advice works. Yeah, it worked. And I also want to say, I just teach what I know through experience. I'm sure there's other great methods out there too. I don't know any of them. I've never read a book on parenting or kids or anything. I don't know any other coaches out there. I'm very careful about that. I stay out of that. I just stay in my own lane because I'm here helping parents. I'm not studying what anyone else is teaching. But yeah, I'm sure there's other ways. But if I'm not resonating with you, then move on. Find someone who does, because you're only going to follow through with who you really trust. If you don't trust what I'm saying or it doesn't make sense to you, move on to someone else. You've got to find someone that you're comfortable with. But here's what I'm recommending. Pick a path and stay with it. If I'm making sense to you now, just watch me. Because if I'm not, go and watch someone else. But don't mix up all of our advice. When you start mixing up parenting advice from different people, none of it's going to work, because it's like dieting. You can't pick and choose what you like from different diets and expect to lose weight. It's like that with parenting. I have a whole method, and it's a system that's meant to go just very specifically. It's a system. That's what that boot camp course is all about. It's a system. And if you were to put time out into my method, it would tank. I hate time out. I can't stand it. I think it's mean. So I wouldn't do it. I teach respect. You give respect to get it. So you've got to just pick a path. So if you're trying to be a leader, or you like my leadership skills or what I'm saying, then just follow me for 3 weeks. If it ain't working, say she doesn't know what she's talking about and go on to someone else. Okay, but do you understand that? It's a system. It's meant to be used all as one method. But yeah, a lot of people do that. They pick and choose. And I took a little bit from that parenting person, nothing's going to work if you do that. Nothing. Okay. Actually, I got to get going. I've got a lot of work to do still, and it's 8:30. And I'm usually in bed by 9 because I'm up at the gym early. So anyway, I got to get going. And thanks so much for joining me. You can look up the link above. It's just one link. By the way, every day I get someone who's been scammed out of money by someone pretending to be me. They're using my videos. They're using my picture. They're using my copy. If you go in the link above, any of my platforms like TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, if you go in the link, and that is me. Other than that, if you just Google and something comes up that it might not be me, okay? So I don't want you getting scammed out of money and by people. It has nothing to do with me. If you're getting scammed and it's not me, I can't control that. So yeah, check that. Anyway, check out the link above. Get my free behavior board, my boot camp, my mini toddler courses, my boot camp course, or you can look into coaching. Thanks so much for joining me. Happy parenting. Bye now.